Cheers, guys. Epix911, welcome to the Elitist Geek and VR news video for July 3rd, 2016. So I was supposed to have the Revive video out today, and trust me, it wasn't for lack of trying, but between work server issues and Revive issues, which I think stem from the fact that I fail the hardware compatibility for Rift. And the way the Vive works, I think in terms of the hardware check, is a lot better because it basically understands the concept of games being GPU challenged, not CPU. There's not an awful lot that a Sandy Bridge can't handle, but for some reason my Sandy Bridge fails at 4.2 gigahertz, Rift's check. Long story short, there's no way to bypass that. And games where I was able to bypass that, I had hardware entitlement errors pop up. And I'd been in communication with the dev for Revive, but he wasn't able to figure it out. So, long story short, the Revive video will still come out, but it's going to come out once I have my new computer in place. I am going to build, starting tomorrow, a Rift Vive specific VR machine that's going to have the latest USB 3.0, etc., 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 Windows 10, the 1080 that I have. This machine will become yet another gaming machine and probably get passed down the chain, and who knows, it'll be a third gaming machine I have in this man cave. That'll work. So expect that within a couple of days. So we're just going to launch into a news video. So just on a couple of topics. First, channel topics. A lot of guys asking me about Vorpex again. And I just want to stress that Vorpex, if you're bored and you don't mind tweaking, tinkering, it's great. It's fun, but you're going to spend a lot of time tinkering and tweaking and not as much playing. And when you do spend some time playing, it's really hit or miss, the experience. Using the kind of true geometric 3D, you can get pretty decent results, right? I had Skyrim to a point where it looked pretty good. Would I say it looked awesome? No, pretty good. And then there's other games on the end of that spectrum, the kind of the tail end, like Borderlands 2, looked downright terrible. Not a fun or enjoyable experience. So really, and somebody specifically asked me, $55, spend it on Vorpex or spend it on games, VR-related games. And I actually urged games. Don't go the Vorpex route. I happen to have the money sitting around in my gaming fund, went down that path, but really, even myself, I've played maybe 3-4 games on it, and they've all been laborious in terms of the effort I've got to put into it. So definitely I would steer away unless you really are bored, you're wanting to try more VR things, then absolutely. It's fun. It just requires a lot of legwork, and it's bending games that were never intended to be VR games, right? They weren't built as VR games from the ground up. You're bending them to your will, and they don't always respond favorably to that. But if you've got the cash burning a hole in your wallet, by all means, buy it, tinker. It'll give you extra virtual reality things to do. It's just, it wouldn't be my first go-to to test out VR. The other thing I looked at today was Dolphin VR, but again, I don't know if it's this machine, just having really bad luck. Every single game I tried, Metroid Prime, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, it didn't matter. They crashed. So Dolphin would load up, I would load a game, and immediately would crash. So not sure what that is, but I will try to figure it out. But from everything I've seen online, the people who've managed to get it working, it actually looks fun. Metroid Prime in VR looked pretty good. It's probably going to be similar to kind of the Vorpex argument, but I think a little bit more user-friendly and a little bit more of a positive experience as opposed to a tweaking one. But we'll see. I'll figure that out. And I'm going to revisit a lot of this stuff once I have the Rift as well. Because you got to remember, Vorpex actually was developed for the Rift from the ground up. It's only the last few versions that added Vive support. So, now, speaking of virtual reality in general, in China, VR has been huge. And when you talk about China in terms of being a marketplace for technology, it's massive. I mean, it's massive on any scale, right? You've got over 1 billion people. You've got a massive emerging middle class, economic restrictions that have, slowly been lifted over the past couple of decades. And sure, it's still, a bit of the state is watching you, but they're enjoying more freedoms every year. And I think you're going to get to a point in a society like that, once that genie is out of the bottle, it's going to be really tough to stuff them back in. And I think it's going to be one of those things. It's slowly going to creep up on people, and they're just going to be used to having specific freedoms that you then can't take away from them. So anyways, virtual reality, just a couple of things. So they expect virtual reality in 2016 to hit $860 million. That's pretty impressive on any scale, but 8.5 billion is their target for 2020, which I think is even more impressive. Now, we've talked a lot on this channel about how we would love to see sales figures, right? For the Rift and the Vive and Samsung and Google. China, by contrast, has actually made some of those sales figures public. And there's one brand called Alibaba and another one called Taobao or Taobao. Hopefully I'm not completely butchering that. They have each sold 300,000 units in a month. Even more impressive, a brand called Baofeng has sold 1 million units via just brick and mortar stores. And we talked about, starting to see the Rift and the Vive in retail outlets. Well, this Chinese brand, again, Baofeng, sold 1 million units of a $30 headset. So from what I could tell, it's more of kind of like the Google Cardboard route, right? But still, they hope to sell 10 million by the end of the year. And, one thing that the article stated as well is that Google Cardboard, by contrast, kind of that same competition class, they're targeting a mere 5 million in the first 19 months. So huge emerging market potential in China. So we'll definitely be following that. The other thing that we kind of can't avoid talking about is VR porn. And have I looked at some of that stuff? Yeah, I've been curious and I've taken a look, and it's been terrible. It's that 360-degree technology with fish lens effects. Put it bluntly, it's pretty damn terrible. I wasn't impressed. It has the potential to be very impressive, but what I've seen so far hasn't been impressive. But what is impressive is that experts expect VR porn to be a billion-dollar industry by 2025. Personally, if they can nail it, I think it's going to be much bigger, because let's face it, if you can do porn successfully, you're probably going to survive as a platform a la VHS, right? That was really something that benefited them immensely in those early years in their war against Betamax. Now, currently, like I said, Google Cardboard is the front runner for that, but again, it's sketchy 360 with a fish lens effect, so we'll see where that goes. Anyways, that's it. Just a couple of news items, and that Dolphin VR, which I wanted to mention in yesterday's news but completely forgot about. I will do a video dealing with Dolphin VR specifically, just as I will with Revive, as soon as I can get the damn thing working. And so lots more gaming stuff, guys. It's just been a bit of a crazy day today for me with servers and tinkering with Revive, but we will get there. And as always, cheers.